So in terms of HQ 18.3, we did touch upon it last week, but I did say last week that I was quite disappointed with it. And I think it's some easy fixes for HQ 18.3. But let's fast forward, let's rewind to about a year ago, pre HQ 18. We're talking 2022 23. The launch of HQ17 saw quite a few people leave the game through frustration because they literally pounded HQ17 on everyone. And when they announced HQ18, they said that what we're going to do is, rather than just plonk HQ18 down, we're going to be doing it in stages. And even I thought, you know what? It's a good idea. I will give them that. It's a good idea to have small progression rather than making the game so difficult all at once. Regular progression would be really good. So they released HQ18. Everyone started upgrading. Then 3 and 4 months later, we saw HQ 18.2, which was most of the rest of the defenses. So they split the defenses into two. They brought out some prime cores originally and then brought some more prime cars out later. And it worked really well. And the prime cores really increased difficulty. We saw the cluster come. People were scrambling for the likes of Air Raid and SG Jetfire and Brainstorm and other bots to sort of solve this problem in the game. And over time, people have found solutions. But then nothing, absolutely nothing for 9 months. Now it only takes most people a couple of months, three endurances, maybe 4 months to say, oh, I need this, especially at the top level of the game. I need said bot to solve that issue. And most people will go out and get that bot and get it leveled very quickly, get it in the war team, solve that problem, and start 300 again. Now this is probably around last September, October, November, when people started then getting into the feel of 300s again because they found solutions to the problems. And for me, the next phase of HQ 18.3 needed to come around January time, where the game started to get a bit stale. Because once you solved the healing cluster, you just had combiners to deal with and outpost bots. We already had Twin Twist, we already had Computron, we already had the likes of Lyle Kaiser and Skyrain. So everything was already set. Nothing that's come after that has made defense harder. Then we brought out Ruination, and Ruination was absolutely unbelievable, and it made the game easier. It did, let's be honest. And so then the players started screaming out saying, we need a defense upgrade. Ruination has made it really, really easy. And so the apes thought, right, well, what we'll do is we'll look at some counters for Ruination. So one of the first cores that they thought about was the anti-water core. Now, although I understand that, the idea behind it, that's going on as a buildbot core. Now, as a buildbot core, all of a sudden that replaces the FFD probably. Most people are running 2, maybe 3 and 4, even 5 FFD. On a majority of cases, either 2 or 4. Now, once you put that water core in there, it, excuse the pun, it waters down the build box. Because then you got 2 FFD, 2 water cores, 1 electric core. There's not enough build bots basically to cover all the cores. And the more cores you release for these build bots, the more it waters them down to the point where you can't use them all. I understand that it can't defend against everything, but I think right now the build bot cores are probably well balanced enough to have variety at the minute. Once you start adding more in, it gets a bit complicated. And that's why I said quite a while ago, I would like to see the anti-water core, the anti-fire core, anti-element cores be equipable to defenses. So if I want to plaster my entire base with anti-water cores, fair enough. I'm going to really solve an issue against Ruination. If I want to do anti-fire cores, I can do that, and that solves against some fire bots. And then if I want to do a mixture, it means certain defenses will protect it against Ruination. Maybe I protect the back of my base against Ruination, leave the front open to Ruination maybe, and maybe that's a tactical choice. But it gives you a bit of choice in there as well. And also you've got to think that most people are sitting on stacks and stacks and stacks of cores. It gives them a chance to chase new cores. If they bring out a water core, most people are going to need 2. You're going to chase 2 cores and you are done. If they put them on defenses, some people could be chasing 20. You know, and it gives something for people to achieve and chase and strive for. But this will be added onto the defenses as well, the current cores. Now, whether that's possible or not, I don't know. But I just think as a build bot core, it's not really going to work. And then it's like, well, where's the anti-acid core? Where's the anti-fire core that we tested in HQ17, early HQ18, that got shelved? Where's that? You know, let's bring that in as well. Let's make things more difficult for defense. In terms of other things, what they're looking at. So, as we stated last week, there's going to be another laser turret. Now, laser turrets are the worst defense in the game. Literally the worst defense in the game. I'd probably say maybe... No, they are. They're the worst defense in the game. So, to bring out another one of them is pretty lackluster, really. Pretty boring. I think lacks a bit of insight. Do they know it's the worst defense in the game? And so, then they brought out anti-air core, and they're looking at buffing their laser turret to do... When it's equipped with the anti-air core, to do damage against airborne targets and against ground targets as well. So, you haven't got to choose between the two. But the problem with that is that there's not a lot of air bots now in the meta. There was, but since they've eliminated one-shots from the higher levels of the game, they're a bit less desirable. And I'm quite disappointed that they've chose laser turrets. And I'm quite disappointed that they've just given an anti-air buff. And even with the anti-air buff, when we tested it out, it didn't do much. It didn't really, you know, slice through air bots that we thought it would. More stasis mines, I like the idea personally. I know some people said about SAC, they were a bit disappointed. But I think it's needed, honestly. I think you should be able to defend against SAC on the launch pad, say, but leave it open for Cup to be used. But then you can't use Afterbreak maybe because it's on the launch pad. And it gives you maybe the choice of using multiple SAC bots. It also then means you can use just 4 on launch pad like most do now and add some glass gas in there or something else. It also means it makes it easier to couple up 2 mines with the flare mines, protect against blur. I think it gives you more options. I think 6 is the perfect number. I think more than that would be overkill. I think 6 is perfect. So I think kudos to Space 8 for that. I think that's a perfect choice. More spider mines, I'm all for it. But with these 3 defenses coming in and the new cores, is it going to make the difficulty that hard, that more difficult, that people are going to stop 300ing and having to chase new bots? Plain and simple, the answer is no. And so we've got to think that it needs more of a defense upgrade. And the Apes have come out and said, yeah, we don't want to make it too difficult this time round. We're looking at HQ 18.4 in the 3rd quarter of the year. That will be the big defense upgrade. And so right now, we're getting these 3 things. They're also going to look at increasing the MDS. And we've talked about this. 11,000 health in normal mode, in Cybertron. Not even in Prime League. And for me, that's madness. Think about how hard it is to kill Shock Towers. And Shock Towers have only got 10,900. It makes the MDS the highest damage in the game. It makes them the highest HP in the game. There's far too much focus on the MDS. We've just said a minute ago that once people have got a solution for the MDS cluster, then that's it. And this is sort of making those bots irrelevant again. So people have chased these bots to eliminate, you know, Shock Tower being the pinnacle of, you know, that cluster. And now adding in, you know, the likes of the MDS to be higher HP than the Shocks. I just think it's far too much. I think that an upgrade to make them around 10k would have sufficed. But 11,000 is quite a big jump and makes them too much focused. And so the question is that, you know, why are Space Apes so scared to give it an upgrade right now? And I sort of said in the playtest chat that the problem with the upgrade for HQ 18.4 being in the 4th quarter, that means that HQ 19 can't come anytime soon after that. It can. You've got to leave people. If you're getting that much of an upgrade, what you're talking about, that means HQ 19 is not coming for another 9 months to a year. And then you're getting 2 defense upgrades back to back, and it means HQ19 is watered down as well. So for me, HQ18.3 should be the big defense upgrade. That's required now. We've waited 9 months for an increase in difficulty at the top levels of the game, not had it, and I feel like that's where it needs to come now. And then I feel like HQ18.4, that can be a lower increase. It doesn't need to be a higher increase then and low now. It should be flipped round. And I think an easy win to make it harder now is an extra outpost. And also people said an extra combiner outpost. It makes it very difficult. It means it's 2 outposts in terms of RAM, in terms of using the game. It's going to be quite difficult to run it, especially on older devices, because I believe that combiners use a lot of memory. I think having 2 in an outpost as well, the fact that you're going to lose 2 combiners constantly, I'm not too sure. But an extra outpost would be very easy. You know, it means that you've got an extra outpost to get past. It slows down people getting through bases, which means that time tracks might even come back. For me, a small increase in the MDS, an increase in walls in terms of HP, an extra level, and an outpost, along with the cores that they're releasing now and the turret, I'd actually be quite happy with. But they need to do more. And then HQ18.4, we've talked about an MDS, an extra variant, which looks like it's going to be that way, because when you choose the 3 variants, there's a big square here missing. So it looks like we're going to get a 4th variant for the MDS, and I'm fine with that coming in HQ18.4 with a new defense, and don't release anything else as part of that. Just a new defense and a new variant, and that's fine. But I feel like HQ18.3 needs to be more. It needs to increase that difficulty now. It's been too long. We were promised regular increases in difficulty, whereas we're not quite getting that. I think 9 months is too long without a jump. So I'm hopefully the 8s will change their mind on this. We'll get an extra outpost. MDS won't get as much of an increase of what they've put in. And I'm even hopeful that they might do something with walls to increase their survivability. And that'll bring Sludge back in, which we spoke about earlier, about his G1 being a bit irrelevant because of walls being irrelevant. So, hopeful that they can change their mind about HQ18.3 and have a bit of a decent upgrade and something for people to chase and use all their cores for. Because right now, it's a bit lackluster. And let's hope that they do something for this, guys.